So when it comes time to sanding your finished piece, the spindle and belt sander is a great way to remove any rough edges created by some of the tools and to get a nice smooth finish. This machine has two modes. One of them is a spindle sander, which you see here, and the other mode is a belt sander, which I'll show you in a minute. The spindle sander is a vertical cylinder that spins so that you can sand inside curves such as this semicircle here. It comes in, there are different size spindles you can use. So there's bigger ones and smaller ones depending on the radius of your curve. In order to use the spindle sander, first you want to make sure that the opening around the spindle is as small as it can be. This ring here is too big, so I'm going to swap it for one of the smaller ones, such as this one. Okay, so the spindle is turning clockwise, and we want to make sure that we're opposing the direction of the rotation. If we were to move our piece from right to left, we would be going with the direction of rotation, and the wood would have a tendency to grab on that spindle and move away, and you can feel it when you're moving the wrong way. Instead, you want to be pushing against the direction of the rotation so that you're getting a nice, smooth, consistent push. Pretty quickly you can get a nice smooth finish, which you could then go and finish off by hand sanding. In order to change the spindle on here, what you do is you can hold the spindle in place and loosen this knob. It's actually reverse thread, so it's not righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, it's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. So righty-loosey is this way. And then there's a small black washer, which you want to make sure you don't lose. It belongs down here. And then the spindle just slides right off. And there's a handy little storage underneath the machine. Then we're going to remove that throat plate. And let's go for the biggest spindle here. So this just slides back down over the shaft. And we're going to pick a new throat plate that is bigger. And then we're going to find the washer that matches the size of this spindle. So there's different sizes, and we'll go for the biggest one, which essentially just presses down on the rubber to expand it and hold the sanding cylinder in place. Once we've done that, we'll put the nut back on, lefty-tighty, and twist it until that spindle, the sanding spindle, is firmly in place. So that's how you change the spindle. If you want to convert it into the sanding belt mode, do the same thing. Loosen the knob. Remove the washer. Remove the spindle. And this time we're going to take this entire orange piece out. And at the back of the machine, there is a different attachment for the belt sander. So the belt sanding mechanism has a skinny end and a wide end. You're going to slide the wide end over the shaft until it's fully seated, and then tighten down that knob again. Lefty tighty. Then there is this black guard, which attaches to the back here by loosening this knob. Slide the guard over into this little slot and tighten that knob back down. This one actually is righty-tighty. You want to make sure that it's not touching the sandpaper, but that it is nice and snug. What this does is it provides a stop so that as you're sanding, you can't go any further than this, and it won't take your piece away and send it flying across the room. If you need to change the belt on the belt sander, you can loosen this lever here and slide the belt off. When you're putting the belt back on, you want to make sure that you have the arrows facing in the right direction. So you'll see on the inside of the belt, there are a set of arrows. Those arrows should line up with the arrows on the top of the belt sanding mechanism here. So we're going to make sure that the arrows are pointing this way. Slide that back on. Make sure it is centered, and then tighten the lever back on. There is some adjustment to make sure that the belt stays tracking evenly on these two wheels. So that's what this knob controls, is basically the angle between these two shafts so that the belt tracks straight. So when we're first going to turn it on, we're going to watch to see if that belt is drifting up or down based on the tension of this knob, and we can fine tune it to make sure that it's not going to slowly drift up or down. So you can see right away that it drifted right down. So I'm going to want to either tighten or loosen that, and I'll do it as it's running so that we can fine tune it. Okay, so now I can see that after several rotations, it's not drifting up or down, so the belt sander is properly set up. You can use the belt sander to do flat edges like this. You can also use it to sand outside edges like this rounded curve. When you're using the belt sander, you want to make sure, and the spindle sander, you're just using light pressure, not trying to force the wood into the belt or taking off too much material at once. If you do that, you can have a tendency to burn the wood, and as well, it increases the chances that that sandpaper could catch on the wood and pull the piece of wood out of your hands. You also want to make sure, if you're sanding a long edge, that you're contacting the left side of that piece to the belt slightly before the right side. So kind of at a light angle, just like this, and steering it in. That's just because there's going to be more friction back here, and it's going to pull that piece safely against the fence, rather than if we were to contact this edge first, the piece could get flung out of our hands.